Begin the card Daf Mesech Kesuvos Daf Peiches. We begin the last few words in that Peizayin Mabez. The Gemara is in the middle of a discussion from the previous Daf. We had mentioned in the previous Mishnah 5 different cases that a woman, when she's coming to collect her ksuba, she would have to take an oath. And regarding 2 of the cases we explained, regarding Pagemis Ksubasa, when she's pagim and she admits to part of it being paid up already, or regarding the case of when one witness says, you paid up already, that Rabbi Shloimy thought it was deraisa, so it turns out really rabbinic. And that's like Gemara continues right now regarding that. If the husband wants to make it biblical, which Rashi will explain exactly why would he want to make it dafka biblical, how could he go ahead and make it into a biblical oath, even though it's rabbinic, so that he gets the milas and the benefits of the biblical oath? Ashes corresponds with Kalsik and Cheskel turned him that Hashem is joining today's daf. Something that's interesting today's daf is continuing on the heels of what we just mentioned in previous daf, at Eidech and Me'idah Shiprua. If one witness testifies that it's paid up, although many times Eidech is Mechayev Shiur Deraisa, as we already explained just the last few words of the previous daf, she's only required to make a Shiur B'derabban. The question is, when she would be required in a Shiur Deraisa? So in terms of the concept of today's daf, that the creditor could collect from the debtor when he's not there. And the end of the daf, which is really a lot of the daf, is actually 4 explanations for the machlekes of Shimon and the Tanakama regarding what exactly are they disagreeing about. Are they disagreeing about regarding collecting when the wife gets mezainis when the husband's not there because he has to feed her? So is it regarding disagreeing about does she have to swear when she's trying to get fed, where he went overseas for like 2 years and she wants to get food from his estate? Are they disagreeing regarding if she becomes abatrapis in the husband's lifetime, regarding taking a shvuah on that? Are they disagreeing regarding if she swears to collect from her ksuba from the assignment? And if someone comes to collect from the estate of the orphans, you can only collect with a shvuah. So we begin the current daf, the Peizayin Mabez, last few words, as we mentioned in the previous Mishnah. A woman is required to swear in order to collect a ksuba in the case of Pagemis Ksubasa. She admits the part of the ksuba being paid up. One witness testifies it's already paid up. She collects from the estate of the orphans. If it was already sold off her husband's estate and she wants to collect the ksuba from them. If the husband is absent, she wants to collect the ksuba that way. So we said that we said originally the thought maybe it's deraisa. So we said shtei chumas, but we said that no, it's only going to be rabbinic because old nishbun shabbatari nishbun l'mishalman. Here she's swearing and she's collecting. And there's ein nishbun like kafir shabbatari. You don't swear biblically on denial of properties, and here it's regarding properties. So it's only lahafis daiti shalbal. Now is where the Gemara continues. Amar Papa. The last few words as we continue with peiches medal. If the husband is a smart man, he's going to cause it to become a biblical oath, which Rashi tells us, which, first of all, that requires God's name, or at least one of the kinuyim of Hashem's name. She has to hold the Sefer Torah in her hands, as the Gemara says in Shavuos Daf, which is very severe. But a rabbinic oath is just like a curse, like the ones that we do, and therefore it's not going to have the same impact. So if he wants to make her take a biblical oath, and again, today's daf is very, very intricate, so there's going to be a lot of these halting cup type of sugyas. So if he wants to make it into biblical oath, what should he do? Okay, says the Gemara, so what he should do is, remember what are we talking about over here? She's denying that she was paid up this ksuba. The husband's saying he paid her up already the ksuba. He even has one aid that he paid up, but it's only rabbinic oath. He wants to make it biblical. What should he do? So, okay, she's denying, okay, you're right, honey, you never got paid up the ksuba, fine. He goes now, a second time, he pays up the ksuba in front of 1/8. Okay, now what? He brings the first witness who saw it the first time with the second witness who saw it the second time. He brings them together to court, where if she denies having been paid up, so then the 2 of them will testify that she received her ksuba. So we have 2 witnesses testifying that she received her ksuba, one from the first time, one from the second time. And then he's going to try to claim her from the first time he paid up, because what are you gaining now? He's going to say, the first time I gave you 1,000 zuz, you're right, honey, I never paid you up the ksuba. It was a loan. I lent you 1,000 zuz. Because, look, the second time I paid you up your ksuba. Now, when she's going to deny, she's going to say, no, what are you talking about? I only received this second time. But one witness is testifying regarding the first time. Now it's going to be a biblical oath. And she's going to have to swear and not pay. She's not collecting. He's claiming from her. You owe me 1,000 zuz that I lent you. And then Eid Echad is testifying that he lent her the money. Because you're right, I didn't pay up the ksuba. I paid you up a few months later, I paid you up the ksuba. So that's nishbaz v'loy mishalemes. There's no shibud karkois. I mean, it's not coming from the ksuba, it's a loan. Gewaltige chap. He's going to be able to make her take now a biblical oath regarding that first monies. That's what Rav Papa says.
She denies both.
Oh, so masculine Rav Sheshe Davidi. Rav Sheshe, I mean, what do you mean denies? But she has to take an oath. What do you mean denies? Yeah, but Eid Echad. But Eid Echad, that which one? Denying all. The first one, she has to take a biblical oath, right? That's Rav Papa's main point. We're trying to gain. He says, "I'll get." You're right. There were shilas regarding the second one, and there's a few questions, but Pasha's what he was gaining was that she'll have to take a biblical oath on the first, not just a rabbinic oath, because a rabbinic oath is not so strong. But Rav Sheshe, he asked, wait a second, how are you putting together the first witness who saw the first 1,000 zuz with the second witness who saw the second 1,000 zuz? What this one saw, this one didn't see. And if she denies both of them, meaning even the second time, she'll deny the second time too. So there's only going to be Eid Echad. And she's going to swear, so Rashi says it, and she'll collect a third time. And they're going to come at a loss to him. Your grace achab, your grace anfal, is going to maybe get him a biblical oath on the first time, but guess what? She's collecting a third time now. She's taking him to the bank 3 times. Right? So what are you gaining by taking one Eid then? It's still only Eid Echad by all the times. So Rav Sheshe Davidi, he says a slightly different version. He says, Yavla ksubasa bape sadikama v'sadabasa. What you actually do is that you take the first witness that was in the first time with the second witness. And then you make the first monies as a loan. Meaning, you're right, of course, the second time you're going to give the ksubi, not giving one in front of Eid Echad. Why would you do that? You're going to do it in front of 2 witnesses. You'll take the first guy with the second guy and pay up a second time. Now Rashi points out the same thing really would be 2 random people from the street. You don't need to take the first guy who saw the first one being paid up with a new guy. It's just Rashi says that Eitz Taiva, that the first witness who recognized that he paid 2 times could testify regarding the ksuba being paid with the second guy, and also regarding the first time being paid. So it's just an Eitz Taiva. But yes, you're right. You'll have 2 witnesses for the second time, so she can't collect the third time because, hey, I have 2 witnesses, I paid you up the ksuba, and regarding the first money, right, it's not your collecting ksuba, it's a loan I gave you, and I have a Eid Echad to say that I gave you a loan, because I only pay you up ksuba now. Oh, that's nishbois v'loy mishalemes. That's not al shibit kafirs kakois, that's a regular loan. That you have to swear biblically. But still, the Gemara has a problem with this. Maskul Ravashi says, "Akat yechil l'meim big kesubas hava." She could actually say there was 2 kesubas. I actually had 2 documents against you. When we got married, you really loved me. You said, "Honey, I'm going to give you 2 kesubas." So the first one I paid you. So so if there was 2 kesubas, by the first time that you paid, I gave you back 1 kesuba. By the second time, I gave you another one. So actually, it comes out that the first witness is actually supporting her, because he saw the 2 payments l'shem ksuba, not l'shem noma. In other words, when the first guy saw, when he didn't know, the husband didn't know that his wife is going to be claiming that she wasn't paid, he said to Yankel, here, look, you see, I'm giving my wife the ksuba. And then a few months later, again, in front of 2 witnesses, he says, Chaim and Shmuel, you see, I'm giving my wife a ksuba. So she's like, what are you saying? Of course, there was 2 ksubas. So what are you claiming from me? It was no loan. So to the contrary, if she could say there's 2 ksubas, the Eid Echad is actually supporting her. So on that, Elam Ravashi says a slightly different version. He says, no, who demoidilu. He notifies the first witness and the last witness. Before he pays it a second time, he says like this: you should know, I already paid her a ksuba in front of one of you, but she's denying it. So he says, I want to pay her a second time for l'shem ksuba, so that I have two witnesses on it, and then I'll collect the first monies, and on that I have eid echad, and then she can be obligated in the biblical oath. Now, once the witnesses hear that, then that eid echad is not supporting her anymore. So, because he knows that the reason why the second time was being paid up was not because there's two ksubas. He knows because before the second one was even paid up, he was notified, says, she's just denying that I paid her up. And now she can't say there was two ksubas because it's a milsad le'shlichas. It's not a common thing that a woman would have two ksubas. She only could say it because there was eid echad supporting her. What do you mean? The eid echad, you told him it was ksuba and you told him again for ksuba. So, no. So he's saying a slightly different version. He notified him beforehand. It's not for ksuba. She's denying. Now that eid echad knows that he's not supporting her because he knows why the husband's doing this, and now she can't make such a claim because it's milsad le'shlichas. That's the case that a husband, if he's pikeach, will be able to get to a biblical oath instead of a rabbinic oath in the way that we just described it, that he'll get two witnesses and he'll let them know beforehand he's only doing it because his wife's denying and paying up the ksuba, and then the eid echad is not supporting her, and then he'll pay up the ksuba, and then he'll claim the monies from the first time and make her take a biblical oath. Now, the next case in the Mishnah, next two cases were in the Chasim Mishabadim. We said that from properties that was sold off or from Nechsi Yisayim, she could only collect with a shiur. So on that says the Gemara, it's not Hasim, under the Mishnah Masechta Shavuos. That and this is not really the main theme that we're discussing. It says the Gemara, V'chein ha'yisayim le'yifrel b'shuah. Also, orphans could only collect with an oath. The Gemara says, wait a second, Miman. From whom is it that you're talking about that they can only collect with an oath? If you say it's from the borrower, meaning the borrower is alive and they're producing their father's document against that their father was the lender. So you tell me orphans can only collect with an oath? Their father could collect without an oath because he has a document, regular lender. They have to swear what shaykhs. Why would that be? And this is what we're saying. And that's why it's related to the Mishnah that we said that Nechasim, anytime you collect from Nechsi Yisayim, you have to swear. We're saying that even if orphans are collecting from orphans, you can only collect with an oath. On that, Rabbi Zekor Merpidi says, we didn't learn, and this is explaining a technicality in this halacha, that when they swear they collect, is Elish Amr Yisayim only if the orphans of the borrower said that Amalon Abba, our father said, Levisu Pradati. Says, I borrowed and I paid up. Then the orphans of the lender swear that our father didn't tell us anything, and we didn't find any receipts amongst his documents that this document was paid up, and we have a document. So if they swear, then they're to that effect that they don't know anything otherwise, then they could go ahead and collect with the document. That's where we said this halacha that the orphans swear when they're collecting from orphans, and then they could collect. But if, let's say the orphans of the borrower said, our father said, he said, I never took a loan in my life. Then even with an oath, the orphans of the lender cannot collect. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. Because he's denying the whole loan in the first place. So Rava asks, to the contrary. Whoever says I didn't borrow is it's like you're saying that I didn't pay. Because you're saying you didn't borrow, obviously you admit you didn't pay because you're saying you never borrowed in the first place. But the document is proving that you did borrow. So how can you say that's the case that they wouldn't be able to collect even with an oath from the orphans, these orphans from those orphans? What do you mean? If they're saying they never borrowed, then for sure they should have to pay. So Rabbi says, right. If we said this teaching, it was actually very different. Rabbi says, we didn't learn that they need an oath. Only if the orphans of the borrower said, our father said to us, so I borrowed, but I paid up. Okay, if the orphans are saying that the father paid up, and you collect from orphans, then even the orphans of the lender would have to swear. If let's say they said, our father said, loy levisi, said I didn't borrow, and actually, you can even collect without an oath. Why without an oath? Are you collecting from orphans? No, because whoever says I didn't borrow, you're like admitting you didn't pay. If we're admitting you didn't pay and we have a document in which we know you borrowed, therefore you can collect even without an oath. That was the halacha. Now, we continue the halacha of the Mishnah, which we said in the if let's say she's collecting her ksuba in her husband's absence, then she's required to swear in order to collect. So Amar Avacha Sahabira, which that was his nickname, the lord of the mansion. There's a story came in front of Rabbi Yitzchak in Natochia, the name of a place. But when he said, we didn't learn that the courts will go down to a person's estate when he's absent and collect when she's coming to collect her. It's elik subas isha, only for a big suba of a woman. Why would we make exception regarding ksuba? Mishumachina. Chachamim wanted that men should find favor in women's eyes, that they would be willing to get married. And if a woman knows that even if her husband suddenly skips town, she'll be able to collect the ksuba from his estate, so that would find grace and favor in their eyes. But a regular creditor? No, Chacham did not permit a lender to collect their loan, she'll live upon them and to go into his estate when he's out of town. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yitzchak. But Rav Amar of Nachman, he says, no, even by a creditor, you could collect in his absence. Why? Because we don't want everyone taking their friend's money as a loan. When he suddenly skips town, he lives overseas. But the no does you can close the doors and the borrowers. No one's going to want to lend money anymore because I give him a guy a $10 million loan, he skips town, and he has properties over here. Everything I collect. He said, no, he can't collect. No, so there shouldn't be closing the doors for borrowers. So in that Rav Nachman holds you can collect even, not just by ksubasisha, but even a regular bachay. Now the next part is the more difficult part that takes us through the rest of the daf. Up until now, we're discussing the halacha of the previous Mishnah, which spoke about 5 cases that the woman has to swear when she's coming to collect the ksuba. The remaining words of the Mishnah, which actually is the first words on Peizayin and Beis, was Rabbi Shimon Omer. Shimon says words that are seemingly enigmatic, what he's going on. He said, his whole statement was that as long as she's collecting her ksuba, the Yerushim can make her take it off. If she's not claiming her ksuba, the inheritors do not make her take it off. Says the Gemara, Reb Shimon Ahai. So Reb Shimon, what is he going on that he's saying this klal, and what would he be disagreeing regarding with the Tanakh? So interpretation number 1. Amr Yomi. The Gemara gives a few explanations of what this machlekes is. He says, it's going on the case right before the last words that the Tanakh just said. What did the Tanakh say? The Tanakh said, again, it's very hot cup. He said, if let's say the woman's collecting her ksuba when in the husband's absence, so he said, she could only collect with an oath. Now, that the Tanakh held, doesn't make a difference if she's coming to court to collect her sustenance from her husband's estate, where she wants to sell off from properties of her husband's estate so she could get food from the grocery, and she swears that he didn't leave her any money to get fed from. That's where an oath would come in. Or, your husband left for 6 months and he didn't leave you any money. No, I swear he didn't leave me nothing. Okay, and you can sell off from the property. And Malaysian Liksuba doesn't make a difference if, let's say, he gave her a get and now she wants to collect Liksuba and he's also out of town. Doesn't make a difference. She would have to swear. That's what the Tanakh is saying. The Oster is coming to say that no, and now you can understand his words. So whenever she's claiming her Kesuba, then your shemesh be nicer. Then his inheritors can make it take an oath because it's the Kesuba. But as you continue to Beis, ain't it Tavas Kesubasa? She's not claiming the Kesuba, but rather Mezainis. Oh, and your shemesh be nicer. Then his inheritors cannot make her take an oath because it's only regarding the Kesuba. Now, what would that machlekes be when the woman is coming to get mezainis from her husband's estate? If she has to take an oath or not, then you tell me that's the machlekes of Shimon and the Tanakh. Says the Gemara, we find such a machlekes brought elsewhere in Shas that not we learned in the Mishnah actually later on come down the base. Mishnah says, a guy goes overseas, the ishtar tavas mezainis, and his wife's telling the Rabbah, I need food. I know he owns 20 properties in town, but I have nothing to feed myself. I want to sell off one of his properties. So Chachamim Leimer, he says like this. He says, and the Rashi's over here are still on the Aleph, Tishava b'seif. when she gets widowed or divorced, and then she claims her ksuba, she has to swear then that when she was getting food through the years when he was away out of town, that she didn't hold on to any of those monies at all. That it was used straight for the grocery. That's when she swears. But she doesn't swear in the beginning when they're giving her food. She comes to the Rav and she says, I need 10,000, I need to pay for Schalia, he's out of town. Then she doesn't have to swear. That's what Chanan holds. However, but the sons of the Kohanim Gedolim, they disagree. But they say, no, she has to swear in the beginning when she wants to get food, swear that her husband didn't leave you any money, and at the end when she comes to collect the Kesubah. Says the Gemara, Reb Shimon is Kechanan. Reb Shimon held that you only swear for the Kesubah. You don't swear for Mezainis. That's like Chanan, who said that you don't swear in the beginning when you come to collect Mezainis, you only swear at the end when you come to collect the Kesubah. Whereas Rabbanan, that they say, no, you always have to swear, that you swear not only for collecting Kesubah, but you also collect for the Mezainis. Beautiful. That explains the machlekes of Reb Shimon and the Rabban. Problem is, Maskiv lo Rav Sheshet. Rav Sheshet asked him this interpretation of Reb Shimon. He says, if that would be what Reb Shimon's words are, Hi Yershin Mashbi Naisa, the words don't make sense. Why are you saying that if you're telling me the case is on when she's collecting because he's absent, because he's out of town, what are you mentioning his Yershin? He's alive. Bezdin Mashbi Naisa should have said the court maker taking note, not the Yershin. Obviously, it's not a good interpretation for the halacha of Reb Shimon. So Ella, we move on to interpretation number 2. Amar Rav Sheshet. He says, it's going on actually the seifa of the Mishnah on Daf Yomi Beis. The Mishnah over there was talking about a woman, the prior Mishnah, that was talking about a woman that her husband wrote to her, Neder Shvua Einli V'lo Yarshi Alayich. No your oaths or vows will you have to take for me or for my Yarsh. On that Mishnah. What did that Mishnah say? The Mishnah said, let's say, so again, anything to do with her husband's estate, she doesn't have to swear not to him, not to his Yarshin. But again, after that, let's say after the grave, when she finishes burying her husband, she goes to her father's house. Or even she goes back to her in-laws. But she doesn't become a caretaker anymore. It's obviously in the Yesh Mashbinas, because that was what he said to her, that he wrote to her, she's not going to have to take an oath in his estate. But let's say she comes back, and now the orphans want her, the mommy, whatever, stepmom, whatever it is, to be the caretaker. So then Yershim Mashbinas Allah Asallah. They always said that the inheritors can make her take an oath regarding what she was involved in after he died, because that's not coming from the power of the husband, the late husband's estate, this oath. It's coming because it's next to Yisayim. And then she has to swear like the halacha of any apotropos, as the Mishnah teaches in Shvus from Mehmet Aleph. There are certain people who have to swear even without a definite claim. Partners, sharecroppers, and apotropos, caretakers. So she would have to take an oath simply by being a caretaker for the orphans. But they don't make her take an oath regarding what was. Okay. That's the Tanakh. It's the Mishnah Pivav. On that is Vashem Shimon Lamein is coming to say, no. As long as she's claiming a Kesubah, Yershin Mashbin, his inheritors can make her take an oath. What type of oath? That she did not hold on to any of their monies after their father passed away. Like the halacha when you come in to collect from the chasim of Yisayim. If she's not collecting her Kesubah, then the inheritors cannot make her take an oath. Which this is now Rashi on Amud Beis again, because of the Shvuas Apotropos, because she's not coming to collect from them for her Kesubah, and this thing was explained right now, she's an Apotropos that was appointed by the father of the orphans. That Reb Shimon holds, she doesn't have to take an oath. Why not? Even though she's not claiming her Kesubah, but she's an apotropos, like the Tanakh was saying, that anytime you're apotropos, like the Mishnah said in Pevav, la'achar misa sabal, now it's nechsi saim, you have to take an oath because you're apotropos. No. Shimon holds, if she's not collecting Kesubah, even though she's subsequently still an apotropos for the orphans, she wouldn't have taken oath. Because it was like Abba Shal. who holds the opposite of the Chacham. Because it's Machlekes Abashol Rabbanon that we're referring to, which is now we learn the Mishnah Mesechtes Gittin. Mishnah says, if you have a caretaker that was appointed by the father of the orphan, I mean the father's passing away, and he says to his best friend, he says, do me a favor. My kids, I'm leaving them a lot of money. I don't trust my kids. I need someone to take care of the estate. Can you take care of it? He says, no problem. The Tanna Kama says, Yeshava, Maisi has to swear that he didn't misappropriate any of the funds of the orphans. He didn't embezzle all this money. But let's say the courts, let's say the father didn't leave over anyone to take care of it. The courts are like, okay, we got to put someone in charge of it. And they ask Reb Moshe to go ahead and be the apotropos. Lo Yeshava. He doesn't have to swear. Why doesn't he have to swear? So Rashi explains, because if he would have to swear, he wouldn't want to be apotropos. You suspect me? I'm going to go do chesed, and now I'm going to have to swear at the end of the day. But if, let's say, the father of the orphans appointed that person, he won't hold back. Because if this father hadn't done this guy some favors in his lifetime, he would never have appointed him to be, say, Chaim, remember I helped you out? Difficult times, I gave you a few $1 million or whatever. Do me a favor, be the apotropos. So even though he has to swear, he'll be the apotropos. But if the courts are going to ask him, he's not going to be willing to. So therefore, that's what the Chum hold. Abba Sholem, he says no chilot, he says the exact opposite. He says Mino Bezdin Yeshava. If the courts appoint him, he has to swear. Mino Aviyasayim Leisha, but if the father of the orphans asks him, he doesn't have to swear. Why? Because, as Rashi explains, according to Abba Shol, if a guy knows he's going to have to swear, he's not going to have a chance. I know we're good friends, but I'm not doing something. I'm going to have to take an oath. An oath is a very severe thing. But in contrast, if the courts appoint him, even though he knows he's going to have to swear, he's not going to hold back. Because it's very chashuv. Gets a phone call from the Rosh Hashiva, gets from the Adma, calls him up and says, Shloime, yeah, Peter kommt, mein Stieb. Hey, comes in, says, we were thinking who's going to be able to take care of this family. You know, this Nebuch, what happened, we want you to be. Me? Yeah. You might have to take a shiur, but you're the one that we. Okay, you know what I'm saying? That. So therefore, Abba Shol holds the opposite of the Chacham. Says the Gemara, now we understand what's Machlekes Reb Shimon and Rabbanan. Reb Shimon, who says that you don't take the oath of an apotropos, meaning his words were you only swear when you collect your Kesubah Mrs. Woman. You're not going to swear all the years that you're apotropos for the Yisayimim. Oh, that's Abba Shol. Because the Avi Yisayimim, her late husband, had made her the apotropos. So when she continues after his death, she's not going to have to swear. But for Rabbanan, which is the Mishnah Pevav that said, let me kandal abba. Under Asalav, you have to swear like an apotropos, like all apotropos have to. They hold Rabbanan. Well, yeah, the Avi Yisayim, you have to swear. Minu Bezin, you don't have to swear. So that's exactly what Reb Shimon was going on, was the Mishnah Pevav. But still, the Gemara doesn't like to see that. Maskiv lo Abai asks, said no. He doesn't read well. This halacha Reb Shimon, his words were, Kozman shetevas kesubasa. As long as she's claiming her ksuba. Now, I don't understand. Based on what you're telling me that Reb Shimon is being the mekel, right? Reb Shimon is the mekel because he's the lenient interpretation. The Rabbanan is saying the woman, now apotropos, in Nichsi Yisayim, is going to have to swear. Only what in her husband's lifetime, he said, Din Dvarim Eli, I'm not going to make you swear. But Reb Shimon said, no, even though she's apotropos, she's not going to have to swear, look, like Abba Shol. So what is in Kol Zman? Im Tevas Mibayle, the wording should have been, if she's claiming Ksuba, meaning the words Kol Zman sounds like as if Reb Shimon heard the Tanna Kama saying, no, we're going to let her off from an oath, even if she's claiming Ksuba. And he's saying, no, as long as she's claiming Ksuba, you're not going to let her off the hook. But that's not what he's saying. That's not what he's going on. It's not the main point. It's not exactly machmir. It's not saying, no, not as long if. Only if she's claiming Ksuba. If she's not, even though she's apotropos, she's not going to have to swear. So the wording Kozman is not good. So that doesn't make sense. So the Gemara moves on to interpretation number 3. I told you it's not going to be necessarily so easy. Elam Abaya. Abaya says, it's going on the Reisha. The Reisha of our Mishnah said, Kasublav, he writes to her, Neder Shvua Inli Alayach. No oath, no vow do I have on you. So So we said, he cannot make her take an oath, etc. Now, let's say, Neder Shvu Einli, V'lo Yarshi, V'lo L'bam B'Shusi. There's no oath of vow, not for me, not for my Yarsha, not for those who take over, like they buy my properties. They don't have halacha on you, Val Yashef, on your inheritance, V'al B'Shusi. Anyone comes and takes over your right to Ksuba, none of us can make you take an oath, or any of your people. Then, said the Mishnah in Yochel Ashbi, you cannot make her take an oath. Like who will Yarsha, not him, not his inheritors. Like B'Shusi, not those who come and take over his property. And that's not on Lahi B'la Yoshev B'la B'Shusi, and not on any one of them either. Which is, he's totally exempting her from an oath, even if she's collecting from the orphans. That was what the case was. That ainly I don't have on you nothing, not on me, and not on my inheritance. So even when she's collecting an inheritance, she's not going to take a shvur. That's what the Tanna Kama said in our mission. On that, that's Reb Shimon is coming to say that Kol Zman Shetevaz Kesubasa. No, he's saying that no, as long as she's collecting Kesuba, Yershin Mashbi'in Isa. The Yershin are going to make her take an oath. Now the Tanna Kama, who said that the husband could exempt her from the Yershin. Because what's that machlekes? So we said that on Amen Aleph, this machlekes. Reb Shimon is Ka'Abba Shol, who said, "Aval ma'aseh." He says, "What could I do?" Because the Chacham said, whoever's coming to collect from the Nichsi assignment could only collect with an oath. So that's who Reb Shimon is like. As long as she's collecting, even if the husband had said no, lo yalai v'lo yarshi, still going to have to swear. But the Rabban disagree on Abba Shol. The Rabbanan who said that she'll be exempt is like the Rabbanan who disagree with that teaching Abba Shol. And therefore, she won't have to swear when she's collecting the Yersh. Okay, but the Gemara has a problem with this too. Master Rav Papa asks, he says, okay, this is very good. The first half of Reb Shimon's statement. When Reb Shimon said, Kozman shetevaz ksubas, as long as you come to collect a ksuba, I know what you're saying about it. He's coming to exclude from the Rabbanan. They said that even from the shvuah of the orphan, she's going to be exempt, and she can collect without a shvuah. Another Reb Shimon is coming to say, no, she can only collect with a shvuah, like Abba Shol says, ma'aseh, even though he's exempting her, but you cannot collect from the orphans without an oath. But what do you do with the second half of his statement? Eine tevaz ksubasa. He concluded his statement by saying, but if she's not claiming her ksuba, then she does not have to take an oath. Mike and man, what are you going to say? What are you saying that for? Who is that coming to exclude from? No one's discussing that about not collecting ksuba. You were only coming to say, as long as she's collecting ksuba, even in the case of when he's exempting her, and eine tevaz ksuba, who is that coming to exclude from? So Elam Rav Papa, rather, the Gemara ends off with the fourth interpretation. Rather, Rav Papa says, is lafuki midirabelazo machlokusai. In other words, like Rashi explains, don't say Reb Shimon was only going on the case of when he writes to her Neder Shvu Einli, and that's only the case he was disagreeing about, which that would have explained the first of his statement, but we still didn't know what the second half of his statement is going on. No, it was going on the whole teaching of Rebbe Lazar with his disputants. On all of them he's disagreeing, which is the Reisha and the Seifa of Pevav Mabez, as Rashi explains. Reb Shimon heard that Rebbe Lazar and Rabbana were saying that the husband can make his wife take an oath whenever he wants to, a shvuas abachapet, which means if she runs the store for him, he can make her take an oath that she didn't embezzle, didn't misappropriate any of the funds. Where he didn't exempt her from an end in the shvuah, even if it's not during the time when she's claiming ksuba. At any point in time, husband can say, honey, where's the papers? I want to see you make an oath to me that you didn't take anything. Now, if he exempts her from an oath, then the Tanna Kama held that even Yershin cannot make her take an oath when she's collecting from them. Like we said, if he says Neder Shvuah Einli B'lo Yarsha B'chulu, Tanna Kama said, like we just said from Abaya, that she wouldn't have to take an oath according to the Tanna Kama. On that, Reb Shimon is coming to disagree on two of these points. That's his Reisha and the Seifa of his teaching. Reb Shimon said, Kozman shetevaz ksubasa, as long as she's collecting her ksuba, the Yershin must be nice, so the Yershin can make her take an oath. Meaning, like Abaya said, even when he writes to her Neder Shvuah Einli L'Yershalayich, that I don't have, not me, not my Yershin on you, because he holds like Abba Shol, which Abba Shol holds that you can never exempt someone from collecting from the Yershin. You can't collect from Yershin without a shvuah. So that's why he says, Kol Zman. As long as she gets Suba, she has to take an oath. But that's where the second part of his teaching was also. When he said, "Einit tavas ksubasa," if she's not claiming ksuba, "Ein hayushin mashbiyin oisa," the inheritance cannot make it take an oath. Which oath? The oath of the apotropis, b'chayi bala. That even if he didn't exempt her from an oath, no one can make her take an oath because he doesn't hold like Rabbi Elazar and his disputants, who they say, no one disagreed. They all held that whenever he wants to make her take an oath of shiur apotropis, no, Rabbi Shimon disagrees. He's excluding from all of them. And he says, no, the halacha is that you cannot make a woman take an oath just like that. She doesn't have to take it shiur apotropis. Only when she comes to collect her ksuba, only then can you make her take an oath. And therefore that's the explanation of the second half of the statement. Two things at any time.